So our guest is having technical difficulties. Apologies. She's having trouble connecting and getting in. So we are like, she's troubleshooting right now, but we might have to switch things around. Apologies. She's working on it, but she's having trouble getting into the stream from her computer. Oh, wait, I see her now. Oh, okay, there she goes. Hi, Liz. Can you hear me? You're muted. Yeah, you'll just want to click the mic. Oh, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Oh my gosh, it sounds like you have someone very good there to help with the troubleshooting.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, my husband would come help me out.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am so glad you were able to join. We have a few people in the chat already. And so folks are definitely excited to hear from you. So I'm just going to do a quick intro and then we can go ahead and get started. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Okay, awesome. Well, hi to everyone out there in the chat. This is DJ Speaks, and of course, I'm DJ. And as I always like to say, it might be cold outside, but we're going to make it hot in here, and we have an awesome topic lined up tonight. We're going to be discussing why Nigerians are so successful in America. All of the studies have shown that Nigerians are consistently one of the most successful immigrant groups in America. They are extremely educated, and we have Liz, who is a Nigerian woman, and she's going to be sharing with us a lot of the cultural values and different reasons as to why that is. So just a couple of house rules. We respect everyone here. So of course, everyone's free to their own opinion, but we just ask that you be respectful. And as far as comments, they won't appear on the screen during the interview out of respect for the guest so that she's not too distracted. However, if you do send a super chat, then your comment or question will appear on the screen. All right, so with no further ado, Liz, please introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Elizabeth Beaver. I'm Nigerian, like you said earlier. I've been in the US for over 20 years. So I was raised here ever since I was 11 years old by my parents. I came here with my siblings, and we've all just, went to school, just, did our thing, and just basically just lived in the US for over 20 years. And so far, we've been loving it. And I'm married. I just recently had a child. So I'm very excited about that new chapter in my life. And so far, so good.
Oh, congratulations. Yes, she is a new mommy and she is absolutely rocking it out. All right, well, we will jump right in. So let's talk about the Nigerian success story. One thing that really hit me hard when you and I spoke a little bit earlier this week, you said, I don't know a single poor Nigerian in America. And that like really rocked my world because I know poor white Americans, I know poor Black Americans. And so to hear that was really astonishing to me. Can you share with the audience how that is and elaborate on why you think that is?
Okay, well, definitely a lot of Nigerians, like I said, I know them, they come here, they focus on what they want to do with their lives. They decide, okay, I'm going to go be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. They come here, they go to school for that. They already decide exactly where they're going to go in their lives. So they just go to school, decide what they want to study, graduate, and work in that field. So they definitely go to fields that are very lucrative, a lot of situations where they're able to work hard, earn money, live lavishly. A lot of them have huge homes. A lot of them have the money, the cars, everything. They live amazingly in the US. So I never really know anybody that doesn't do much in terms of being successful in this country. So that's why it's pretty much viewed as the land of milk and honey. And you just come here, put your head down, do what you have to do, and just succeed at whatever you're doing.
Wow. And so when you say it's the land of milk and honey, that's very interesting because right now we have a very popular Back to Africa movement where a lot of Black Americans are actually going in the opposite direction. So the Nigerians are coming here and finding great success, but we see the Black Americans are going back to Africa. So what makes America the land of milk and honey for, say, someone of Nigerian descent as opposed to a Black American, in your opinion?
So in my opinion, I think that with Black Americans being here, they are born here, they grow up here, they're able to understand everything and decide if they really like it. So they're pretty much used to everything here. But a Nigerian descent who comes here has the sense of, I'm just here to get my education, to get my career going, because they might not necessarily have the opportunity to do that. So for example, in Nigeria, your parents have to pay for your school fees. You have to have somebody sustain you in terms of finances. But when you come here, you have the ability to get a student loan, go to college, pay your way through college. So when you do come here, you're able to, pay your way through everything and get whatever you need to do. So that's why it's viewed as the land of milk and honey.
Wow. And can you speak more to the difference in cultural attitudes that you've seen between, say, Black Americans and Nigerians in terms of education and work? What have you seen that you would say separate the two?
Okay, the difference would be a lot of tenacity, a lot of work ethic. A Nigerian is already thinking about how to earn a lot more money to not only take care of their immediate family, like a spouse and children, but they're also thinking about their family back home. So a lot of times they have family members that are, suffering financially. They need the help. So they definitely make money to send home to their family. And that doesn't necessarily go for every single Nigerian, but it goes for a lot of people who always at least has some kind of family member that needs help. So they're always working to help their family member. So as opposed to here, a lot of people think of just, taking care of themselves, their kids, their husbands, wives, and all that good stuff. But they don't really think about their extended family, like where they have grandma and grandpa needing their help, where they have sometimes you have somebody relying on a Nigerian completely to take care of their school fees and take them, have them go to school, have a roof over their head and everything. And over here, it's all about take care of yourself and just do whatever you want to do with your own life. So that's the difference between a Nigerian working hard in order to succeed in America, because they have so many responsibilities back home and they have a lot of people looking up to them for help. That's the difference.
Wow. And so the responsibility of having someone back home to take care of, that weighs heavily on the Nigerian person that's coming here. So when they come to America, it's important for them to hit the ground running because other people are depending on them. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So they always have somebody depending on them, and that's why it gives them that added drive to go out there and do what they need to do for themselves and their families.
Wow. And you mentioned something during our discussion about education and how you've seen it be viewed differently. Can you speak more on that?
So education is viewed extremely differently with Americans and Africans and Nigerians specifically, where in Nigeria you have that parent already putting it in your mind as you're a kid, saying things like you have to go become a doctor, you have to go become a lawyer, or you have to become, whatever it is you need to become, so that way you can be financially stable. I know personally, when I was a kid, I came here when I was about 11 years old, and my father sat me down along with my siblings and told every single one of us that he only brought us to this country to be successful and he will accept nothing short of that. And we all had that ingrained in our minds that you are in this country to succeed so your parents can be proud of you. So everything that was going on around us was irrelevant. All we cared about was just going to school, getting that education so that way we can be successful, because we knew that that was going to be the route to having a better life. And with my siblings, they're all successful in their lives. They have great careers. I'm the last kid in my family. So I think I'm doing okay too.
Absolutely. And so is it just when you say, hey, we didn't care what was going on around us, education was the most important thing. When you see Americans, right, and Black Americans in particular, and this fascination with the music and the movies and the social media, and it seems like entertainment figures heavily, what are your thoughts on that?
So a lot of times you see people that are about the entertainment industry because they want to emulate the celebrities that they see out there. Sometimes they don't really have a lot of role models that teach them that sometimes you can just view them as just entertainment and don't necessarily embody those things that you're being taught. So with us, my father taught us that, yeah, you can watch TV, you can entertain yourself and all that good stuff, but at the same time, you have to be realistic and understand that there's life out there and you have to go out there and do what you have to do for yourself. Sometimes the things you see on TV are not necessarily true. So you just watch it just to laugh and have a good time, and that's about it. So that was the mentality that we had coming into, watching TV and all that good stuff. So when you have an American watching TV, they're not having somebody in their ear telling them that, this stuff is just entertainment. Just relax and just, don't do all those things in your life, but they embody those things. They take it into their lives and they take it into their daily activities, and they think that's what they can be. You have some people trying to be rappers because they see that on TV, people trying to be football stars because they see that on TV. Sometimes you have to find out where your skills are and just, hold dear to those skills and just watch stuff on TV and just be entertained and go about your day. So that's the
Mm.
difference between both mentalities.
Wow. And so, really, like separating entertainment from reality is a huge
Exactly.
part, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Mm. And so, where does the role model come in? So, for example, we often see in Black American culture, there's this idea that, oh, the children need someone to look up to. They need a role model like Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or something like that. In Nigerian culture, where do the role models come from?
It comes from the village, the community. And when I say village, I don't necessarily mean the environment. I
Mm.
mean the people around the child. So there's a saying, I don't, don't quote me if it's wrong, but there's a saying that says the village raises the child.
Mm.
Something in that realm. Somebody might, correct me on that one. But a child is being raised by their community, by their parents, their uncles, their aunts, their neighbors. So, for example, in the Nigerian culture, you may have a neighbor scorn you. You may have a friend or a teacher really discipline you if you do something wrong. But over here, you have your parents to do that. You can't really have a teacher doing that. You can't really have a neighbor doing that. Only your parents can do that. So
Mm.
in Nigeria, the village does that to the child. So that way, if the parent is not available, somebody is definitely disciplining that child. So that's
Mm.
the difference in raising children in that culture.
And so the role models actually come from within the culture as opposed to these celebrities that are far removed.
Exactly. So a celebrity is just viewed as somebody who entertains you. It's not
Mm.
viewed as the person who's going to raise you up and teach you, give you life lessons.
Mhm.
Sometimes you may pick up life lessons from some celebrities,
Mm.
but you're not going to do that for everybody. So at the same time, you have to be realistic and just look at those around you and learn from everybody around you.
Wow, that's very interesting, Liz. I feel like we're learning a lot. And to everyone in the chat, go ahead and hit that like button. We definitely want to show appreciation for our guest coming on and taking the time to share her perspective with us. So go ahead and hit the like button and let's start showing some love to Liz in the chat. If you are enjoying this interview, definitely drop some fire emojis and we're going to go ahead and continue. Okay, so Liz, tell me about your experiences with Black Americans. I would like to know, so there is this common thought that says when Africans come here, and we're speaking very broadly, that they don't know much about African Americans, or what they know is from television. What were you taught about Black Americans before coming to America? And then what were your experiences with the culture like?
Okay, so before I came to America, the image that I had with Black Americans was that they were all partying people, going to the club. I know it's wrong, but that was the image that I was shown. It was about partying, having fun, just having a good time. But when I moved here, I met a lot of educated Black Americans that were steadfast on their path in life, and they were, they decided what they're gonna do with their lives, and they were going about it. So the image broke for me, where I thought everybody was a rapper, everybody was just, dressing provocatively, and
Mm.
it was just a huge world of difference as opposed to what you're seeing on TV. So TV was teaching me that they're dressing provocatively, they're sleeping around, they're partying, having a good time. But then when
Mm.
I came here and physically met people, it was a whole world of difference, where people were definitely doing a lot better than what I was seeing on TV.
Wow. So, just to clarify, your understanding of Black American culture before you came here was based on television.
Yeah,
So, not,
because I never met anybody. I was living
wow.
in Nigeria. I never met anybody from here. So
Yeah.
all I saw was TV. And the TV was showing me that people were partying and having fun and going to the club. And that
Mm.
was the image I saw. But then when I moved to America, that's when I saw that everybody was not the same I saw on TV. And
Mm.
people were having a lot of things going on in their lives more than that.
Mm. And how did that image, this idea that all Black Americans do is party and they're sleeping around and they're just not taking things seriously, how did that impact your perception, just like when you arrived here?
So when I arrived here, I definitely had the perception of changing that image, because I knew that there's a lot more people that had better perspectives than that. So I decided to go out there and meet a lot of people to get to know them personally. So that way I got to know people individually and not from the culture that is being portrayed worldwide.
Mm, absolutely. And so your experience was actually far different than what television was showing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever been warned to stay away from Black Americans anyway? There is a huge urban legend in the Black American community that Africans, when they arrive here, are told by some force to stay away from Black Americans, don't live next to them, don't marry them. Were you given any of those messages when you came to America?
No, I was never given such messages. I was taught to love everybody, meet people.
Mhm.
As I grew up, I definitely learned that people are from different walks of life, and you have to choose whoever you want to draw closer to you. And
Mhm.
they may come in any skin color. It doesn't have to be, one specific skin color is better than the next. It was about just meeting people and getting to know them, and then decide if their character is enough for you to draw close to you. So I was judging people based on their character and not necessarily what their skin color was.
Wow, that's profound because you wouldn't even think that would come into play, right? Within the same group. But like you're saying, it was the character that was most important. And so the idea that you would draw close to someone just because they're Black, that really didn't exist to you. Would that be fair to say?
No, it wouldn't be fair to say, because if I did that, I would only have friends of one race. But I decided to open up myself to everyone from all walks of life, because I knew that there was a lot of things that people can teach me, and they don't look like me. They don't have the same religion as me. They don't have the same language as me, and they don't have the same look as me. So if I close my mind to different people because they don't look like me, I am doing myself a disservice, and I am not opening up myself to learn and really enjoy this life that God has given us.
Wow. Wow, that's very interesting. So I'm really excited to hear more about this because we always hear about these sort of tribal ideas, right? So if we think about the cultures in Nigeria, we hear about, oh, well, the Yoruba people, they like to do this, or the Hausa people, they like to do that. And then what I'm hearing from you is that actually on the ground, coming to America, it's like, well, whoever is good to you, that's who you're open to.
Exactly. I mean, personally, I know that a lot of Nigerians may have that whole tribal thing that they're saying, okay, we're going to mesh with our tribe and all that. But for
Mhm.
me personally, my experience wasn't about tribe. It wasn't about ethnicity. It wasn't about language or color. It was about whoever is good to me, I'll be good to the person. Yeah, I may have a little inclination towards Nigerians if I meet them and be like, oh, hey, my brother, my sister kind of thing,
Mm.
but it's not going to be like I only love this group of people. It's about, oh, I'm glad that I met another Nigerian, but at the same time I'm still going to open up myself to everybody else that comes from anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. Well, let's dig more into this Nigerian success story because I'm sure people want to know about it. And I want to say hi to everyone that's coming into the chat. I see we've got 36 people, so people are filtering in now. Hello and welcome to all of you. I can't read all of your comments, but I do see the happy companion. Hi, Isatu. Hi, Tracy. Hi. I see so many of you. So hello to all of you. Thank you for joining. We're talking to Liz about her experience as a Nigerian woman in America, and she's sharing a lot of great info. So please go ahead and hit that like button. Again, if you want to share a comment or question, you can definitely do that via Super Chat. Okay, so Liz, let's dig into the success part. So Black Americans work hard, right? Black Americans work really hard in this country, put in a lot of hours, especially in the labor field. So, especially in those labor intense fields. But that doesn't necessarily mean they get ahead. So, can you share more from your perspective in the Nigerian culture about how Nigerians are able to be so successful as opposed to Black Americans who may be working very hard but don't seem to be progressing at the same rate?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, in my opinion, when I look at both cultures and both individuals, so if I'm looking at a Nigerian and the way they conduct their lives and what they hold dear and important to them, and as opposed to a Black American and what they do that they hold dear to them, I think the defining factor is that college education. A lot of people do not emphasize that college is important, and I want to break that notion. College is important. It's something that you can fly in terms of being successful,
Mm,
where somebody who just came with a high school diploma and just thinks I can just work really hard physically, do that labor, and I'll climb up the ladder. Yeah, you will do that, but it'll take years longer for you to do that. But if you dedicate 4 or 5 years in college and you get that degree and you have that education, you can get there 5 years earlier than the next person. So I think that's the difference with Nigerians, where they really value that college education because they know that it'll help them grow a lot faster than the next person. So I think that's the difference with Nigerians and Black Americans in terms of that labor, because a lot of Nigerians decide, I'm going to get to that college, I'm going to get that degree and go, be the director of something,
mm,
while a Black American is working their way physically up to that ladder. And it's taking them a little bit longer to do that.
hmm. And so, are you saying, Liz, that this all boils down to education alone?
No, I'm not saying that. I believe that anyone can be successful, in any realm that they choose to go through.
Mm,
But if they're going about the same rate as a Nigerian, I think what a Nigerian may have over them would be that drive to go to college, because that has always been embedded in them in their youth, where they're made to believe that college is going to help you get to where you need to go faster, as opposed to over here, they're taught that you just work very hard at your job and you're going to get up to the ladder. And it's
mm.
not always the case.
Okay, so you're hearing it from Liz, everyone, that hard work doesn't necessarily equal success. And I would say that that's something I have seen personally, is that the person who works the hardest doesn't necessarily become the most successful. And I think we are taught in America from a young age that, just work hard and everything will be okay. Just work hard. But in reality, that's really not what goes down. And there are a lot more skills that come into play. Liz, you mentioned to me earlier this week something that I thought was very interesting about how Nigerians approach racism in the workplace. Can you share some of that?
Okay, so a Nigerian already comes to the country already knowing that they're at a disadvantage. They know that there's racism out there. There's going to be people that not only are racist towards their skin color, but there's a whole nother layer to that where people are racist towards their language, their accent. They're judgmental in terms of how they speak, how they dress, how they look, how they choose to wear their hair. So they already have so much going on against them. So they go into the workforce knowing that they have these things against them, and they already break past that mentally, where they said, I'm not even going to listen to what people are going to say about me. I'm just going to go in there, show my skills. If it works, it does. If it doesn't, then I move on to the next opportunity. So they already go in with the mentality of, I have all these things against me. I'm still going to push forward because I come from a country that already has a lot of barriers for me. So I'm gonna come here. If a boss is gonna be judging me because of the way I look and my accent, it doesn't matter. I'll go to the next person who gives me that opportunity. So that's the mentality that they have in the workforce.
Mm. And so when a Nigerian comes into the workplace and say, the person doesn't really want to hire them, you mentioned something about getting the degree that's above. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So for example, like I said, if you have two applicants, one of them has an associate's degree, the other one has a bachelor's degree, the boss might want to pick up somebody who looks like them and say, oh, I'm just going to go with this person because, they have similarities to me. But a Nigerian is going to go out there, get that bachelor's and that master's degree to show you that you really have no choice but to hire me because I already have more than the qualifications. Yes, we will always have those bosses that still want to be, hard-headed sometimes, but more often than not, you will have that boss that says this person has gotten the education that I need for this, for this requirement, and I'm gonna hire them for it. So that's the mentality that they have.
And so they're willing to get the degree that is higher than what is needed for the position just so that they cannot be turned down.
Exactly.
Wow. And how is racism perceived, say, for someone from Nigeria? Like, so for example, we know the Black American experience with racism historically and in present times. But for you as an immigrant coming from Nigeria, how do you see racism in America?
I see racism as definitely something that's still prevalent. We cannot deny the fact that it's still obvious in our daily lives. I think the difference with everyone is the way we all approach it. We all have, some people have a victim mentality where they say, I'm always running into somebody that's racist. I can't get a good job. I can't get a good place to live. People are racist. Everybody's racist towards me. And you have somebody else who has a different mentality where they say, yes, this country has a lot of racism and a lot of deep history on that, but I'm still gonna drive through. I'm still gonna go get what I need to get. If I can't, get what I want to get in one area, I'm gonna go somewhere else and get it. So the difference in how everybody views racism is the approach and the mentality.
And so what would your approach to racism be, or what has it been in the past?
So I have ran into racism, regardless of my education and my, the way I carry myself. Some people have been racist towards me. And, when I first came to America, I was very I was in tears. I didn't know how to handle it emotionally. But as I grew up, I started learning that it's about what that person feels on the inside of themselves. It's not about you, the person. It's about what they feel. And if somebody wants to view me because of the color of my skin in a negative manner, I see that as their business and it's not my problem. I go on and live my life however I deem fit. And whoever wants to be racist towards me, it's their business, not
Mhm.
mine.
And so when you've encountered racism as someone from Nigeria, you say it's their business, not mine. So you're
Yeah.
not interested in bringing them to justice and you're not interested in making them pay for it. Am I understanding that properly?
I have had a
I
situation
see,
where I did I did bring that.
I see this.
I know where you're going. I definitely have had moments where I tried to bring somebody to justice. I worked with somebody who was so for example, at work, it was a situation where we had a badge to get into work, and the person did not feel that I worked there even after I showed her my badge, and she decided to call the police on me.
What?
But I made sure that she was, reprimanded. I spoke to her boss. I reported her to mine, and her boss and mine spoke with each other, and she was severely warned. And the entire office had to go through training on race relations just because of that.
Wow. So the story is that you worked at a place and a woman there did not believe that you worked there even after you showed her your badge?
No, she did not. I showed her with my picture and everything showing on the badge, and
Uh-huh.
she did not believe it. And she went ahead to call the police, and I had to show my badge to the police and all that good stuff. And my boss had to come verify that I worked there. So
Mm.
it was a lot of drama that I did not anticipate or liked, and I made sure that I went forward to have her, reprimanded. And she was warned. She had a written warning, and everybody else had to suffer for it because we all had to sit through a race relations program for like
Mm.
6 weeks, and
Mm.
everybody was really upset at her because of that.
So that was enough of a win for you. You were fine.
Exactly. I was fine with that.
Wow, very interesting. Well, we have 40 people in the chat, so hello to everyone. Welcome if you are just joining. I always like to greet all of you. So hello, hola, bonsoir, assalamu alaikum, nangadev, and welcome to everyone. We have Liz here who is from Nigeria, and she is in America now, and she has experienced a great deal of success. And she is sharing her thoughts on why Nigerians are the most successful immigrant group in America. And we're talking even as opposed to other immigrant groups from Europe, Asia, and so on and so forth. And so it's extremely important for us to gain more understanding of how cultural values could be contributing to the success. So go ahead and hit that like button. If you are enjoying this, drop some fire emojis in the chat and we will continue. So we're going to move to our next segment, Liz, and we're going to talk about some of the attitudes to marriage and to dating and just some things that you've noticed. Can you speak to me on what you see as the main difference in terms of how Nigerians approach dating and marriage as opposed to Black Americans and how that contributes to the success that Nigerians experience?
Okay, so a lot of times the marriage topic is very huge for Nigerian families. A lot of times they grow up with the mentality and the drive to get married and stay married. That's the motto. Um, Usually, before a Nigerian family or a Nigerian couple gets divorced, it's like you really have to go through a lot of drama in that marriage, like abuse or infidelity, and sometimes not even infidelity, but a lot of, it depends on the couple. So it something really huge has to happen in order for that couple to be divorced. But a lot of times here in America, you just need an argument to be done with that relationship. And I know I'm exaggerating on that a little bit, but it's very fickle in the stories that I hear with people saying, "Oh, I'm divorced because my husband, did this or did that." And everybody has their own rights to decide what they deem important to them and
Mhm.
what they can, use as a way to divorce their partner. But a lot of times in Nigeria, it's about getting married and staying married. and I think that's the success with that. They work on their marriage. They try as much as possible to work with each other. They bring in family. I think that's another thing that people don't mention. Extended family, like the in-laws, father-in-law, mother-in-law, everybody is supporting that marriage. Everybody is trying as much as possible to make that couple flourish and thrive. And that's the thing that I see with Nigerians that I don't see here. A lot of times couples is all about me and my partner, everybody else can go die kind of mentality.
Mm.
And with Nigeria, it's the village that's supporting that couple. You have the community, the entire, everybody in the family is just supporting that marriage. So it's rare to see people fall apart when you have that much support.
Hmm. And so, in your opinion, it sounds like it's more of the support factor as opposed to anything else. Is that right?
Yeah, it's more of the support with the village, with the environment, with the families, friends, especially with the wedding. So, for example, a Nigerian wedding, you have so much going on. You have the traditional marriage, you have the church marriage. There's like a lot of steps that has to go through in order for that couple to go live together in the same home.
Mhm.
So you can't just jump into a guy's home and be like, oh, I'm his wife now. You have to go through the elders in the family, your
Mhm.
father, your grandparents, everybody has to support that union before you go ahead. So you can't just marry anybody and be divorced a year later. It doesn't go that way. It doesn't go that way. So it's a lot of things that you have to do in order to be married in the Nigerian culture. That's why it takes them a long time to actually be divorced from each other.
Wow. And so, just from your experience, like living here in America, working, living next to Black Americans, what do you see is lacking most? Because, for example, Black Americans historically had high marriage rates.
Mhm,
We're talking 70, 80% back in the early 1900s. And now
mhm,
we're seeing that more than 70% of Black American children are born out of wedlock. Marriage rates are at an all time low. I consider this to be a crisis in the community. But
mhm.
what do you see, just from your perspective, as a major reason as to why it's just not working right now?
So I think the reason why is because marriage is not spoken loudly. It's not a requirement. It's not needed essentially for a lot of people. Some people think I can just have a kid. I know somebody who literally told me I can just have a kid and I'm done. I don't need a wife. I don't need a boyfriend. And there's people that have that belief where marriage is not important. And sometimes it depends on whoever it is. It may be important to them, it may not be, but I think marriage is not really spoken of highly in a good manner. So that's why people don't really care about marriage over here. Especially having to go through the hard times of marriage, because it does have its highs and lows, and you have to decide if you want to go through that with a partner. And a lot of times people don't want to do that. They have issues, they fall apart, and that's about it. So I don't think marriage is highly respected in the Black American culture. That's why it's not that step is not being taken with relationships.
Interesting. And do you see any major differences in terms of how a Nigerian might date, in terms of like a relationship, as opposed to maybe how a Black American would date?
Okay, yeah. So it's a huge difference with how they would date. Yeah, similarities are there with relationships, how they, go on a date, hang out, all that good stuff. But when they start getting serious, the difference that I see with Nigerians is that both individuals in the couple will go get tested for like diseases and things that, might not match in terms of having children. So
Mm,
they definitely go have a comprehensive exam on each other to make sure that they're suitable for marriage and to reproduce.
mm,
So that's the thing that they do for sure, because they want to make sure that once they get into that marriage, that's it. They know that once they get married, that's it. So you want to make sure everything is perfect with the person that you're marrying. And then you have to look at their backgrounds. Sometimes background checks are being done,
mm.
families are being investigated.
Oh,
They look
wait,
at their siblings.
check word again.
They they look at your siblings. They look at your culture, your background, your tribe. sometimes the village you come from is a very huge aspect to it. So they look at so many things about you, and just to make sure that you're worthy of marrying. And if they see something wrong, they back out.
Wow.
Yeah. As opposed to over here, nobody really does that. I mean, some people probably do, but not really everyone. But that's the difference. Like in dating, it's similar, but when it comes to that serious point where you start seeing somebody that, oh, I'm gonna marry this person, then you decide, okay, we have to get tested. We have to look at our bank accounts to see how much money we have. We
Mm,
have to know how much we're gonna save, how we're gonna live, how many kids we're gonna have, what religion we're gonna practice. Like
mm.
you're really like, on the same path on every subject in life before you take that step. That's why you rarely see Nigerians get divorced, because they've done the homework before they got married.
Wow, that
So,
is amazing. We need to show some love. We do have a super chat, and it is from Issa2 Space. Hi, Issa2. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the super chat. She dropped the fire emoji. She's really appreciating what you're saying right now, Liz, and I hope many people are enjoying it as well. Issa2, thank you so much. She has a YouTube channel, so definitely check her out and we will keep it rolling. Thank you,
yep.
Issa2.
Thank you.
Yes, and if you want to be like Issa2 and leave a comment or a question, definitely send over a super chat and we'll be happy to put that on the screen. So you hit on something very important. And so, for example, you've said that when dating gets serious with Nigerians, background checks will be done. We're
Yeah.
going to the doctor. We're going to get tested.
Yeah.
We want to know who was crazy in your family. We want to know your auntie. And that is very powerful because that is not something that we do in Black American culture. And I have questions in my mind about whether that's something that needs to be brought back. Because, for example, dating in Black American culture and the wider American, right? So just America in general, it's very individualistic. It's I like this person, they like me, that's all that matters. But from what you're telling me, dating in a Nigerian perspective is a more family experience.
Yeah, it's a family union. There's a saying that goes, when you marry a Nigerian, you marry their family. So you have to make sure that you check out that family to make sure that you're coming into something great and something that you like. So it cannot be just you picking up that member of that family and leaving. You're coming into the family. So which means you have to investigate to make sure that they're worthy of your time. Because a lot of times you have to make sure that it's not something that it's detrimental to you. You have to make sure that your family and their families merge with one another, and they all have to get along in order for you and your partner to be married.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, we're going to pause there. So I need to see the likes up, y'all. So I am really enjoying what Liz is sharing. And if you are enjoying it as well, I definitely need to see those likes up. We have 18 likes, but we've got 43 folks in the chat. So something is not adding up. So I think we might need to hold on a little bit until we get some likes up. And we're going to pause for a second. So if you are enjoying the content, please go ahead and hit that like button so that we can show appreciation for our guest. She's taking time out of her day to spend with us. So let's definitely show her some love. Okay, I'm seeing those likes up. Let's get them up a little bit more. Let's get that engagement up. Okay, so Liz, back to the dating perspective. Okay, so back to dating. So it sounds to me like when Nigerians date, they are dating with a goal in mind, perhaps marriage. Does that contribute to the overall financial success of Nigerians in America?
So I think so. There are some similarities. So, for example, some couples that are serious, it all depends on age, because a couple of 18-year-olds dating is not going to get anywhere, sometimes. But when you have the couple being, 27, 30, 34, now they're looking at like, am I going to marry this person? At that point, they're dating with the intention of marriage. You're
Mm,
not going to find a lot of Nigerians in their 30s just dating because it's fun. They're
mm,
dating because they want to see if that person is worthwhile for marriage. So that's why you have to look at the age of that couple and see if they're looking at that. And then financially, they're also looking at each other like, are you going to school? Are you working? What's your career? What's your goals? Like they want to know if you're doing something to enable yourself financially in
mhm,
order to merge assets with you and know that they're going to be successful with you as well. So they're
mhm,
looking at your finances, they're looking at your career, they're looking at every single thing that has to do with you before they
mm.
get married.
Wow. And so, Liz, from you, and we're talking right now, woman to woman, right? And so I see, and I have a lot of experience in terms of like encountering Africans, right? And I see beautiful Nigerian women, and I see beautiful Black American women. Same figure, same bodies, same education, but somehow the Nigerian women find it so much easier to get married. Why is that? Where does that come from?
I think it's because of the culture. Once again, the culture is the thing that's really speaking highly of Nigerian women because they are also raised with the whole mentality of find somebody great to get married to.
Mm,
So, the difference is, similarities is everybody goes to school, everybody does their own thing, but at the same time, you have to, separate yourself from the crowd. And what separates them is that love for culture, that love for family, that love for religion, whatever the case may be. That there's something about the Nigerian woman that says, I'm ready to be homely, I'm
mm,
ready to be a wife, I'm ready to be a mother. Like they just have something about them that shows that. And a lot of times, personally, I don't see that with a lot of Black American women.
mm,
The notion that I see with Black American women a lot is that they focus on their career. Like that's the most important thing for them. Have that independence, have your career, have your car, your home, all that good stuff. But that sense of partnership, that sense of union, that sense of working together with a man and
mm,
saying, we're gonna work together to be a better couple, we're gonna work together to be a family, we're gonna raise loving children, we're gonna have a loving home. Like that mentality of like working with your partner is not necessarily there, and it's
mm.
there with the Nigerian woman.
Wow. Wow. You're just blowing my mind right now. And so it sounds to me, and you're blowing the chat's mind. Some people said that's true, true, true. Some people are saying true. Drop some prayer hand emojis in the chat if you are agreeing with what Liz is saying, because I'm seeing a lot of true, true, true. And don't forget, if you want your comment to appear on the screen for Liz to respond to it, you have to send it via super chat. So, Liz, I picked up on something that you said. You said there is a homely quality about Nigerian women that you do not see in Black American women. Now, I want to tease apart this homely quality. Are we talking something she says? Are we talking something that is intangible? It's just a vibe or an energy? Are we talking the way she dresses? What is that homeliness and how does it come through? Is it just because of like something she has said, or are we talking something different?
So with homeliness, it's very, the definition can go with any route with everybody. For
Mm,
me, personally, my definition of homely is like a woman that, makes the house a home.
mm,
And making a house a home is like you coming in there, making it a place to come home to. A lot of times they get ready for their husbands to come home from work, like they have food on the table. Sometimes they make sure the house is wonderful. They pour into their men, not just in terms of taking care of the home, but they pour into him both financially and mentally. A lot of times they give their husbands ideas on how to go about their day, how to start a new business, how to get a better job, how to earn more money. Like they just have something to bring to the table to their partner. So when their boyfriend at the time is looking at the woman and saying, am I going to marry this person? He's seeing somebody who's pouring into him financially, pouring into him mentally, spiritually, praying for him. I know for myself personally, I prayed for my husband as we were dating. So little things like that will really show the man that, this woman is different from everybody else. As opposed to over here, people are just about, oh, I have money in the bank. I have, I'm successful because I have money. you know, it's all about how much money do you have, what kind of house you're living in, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But over in Nigeria, there's a lot of added, emphasis on just looking like you're providing for the home, and not just financially, but providing in terms of your blood, sweat, your drive, everything you feel about making that home a good place. They invest in their marriage, they invest in their home, they invest in their children. Sometimes people take time off work just to raise their kids. That's how, how much passionate they are in terms of that family, that husband, that, that spouse. They invest in that.
Wow. Well, let me address some things that are being said in the chat, because my audience, I appreciate you and we always want to engage here. And so I've seen a few folks saying, I'm sorry, DJ, I can't abide this. Another viewer says, looking and listening, I can't help but to feel insulted. Someone else says, so she knows all American Black women. And so I just want to address this because I appreciate you being here. But what I want you to understand is that she is just sharing her perspective from her culture. And so it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. She's just sharing her knowledge with us, and you don't have to accept it, of course, but I like to share educational content on this channel. It doesn't mean I agree with everything or I disagree with anything, but it's just a matter of learning. Different folks come from different cultures, and so if you are feeling insulted, that is not our intention. If you need to step away, I respect that, but this is an adult conversation, and she's just sharing what her opinion is. So I just wanted to make that clear that we are not here to insult anyone. I'm conducting an interview, so that means I'm going to ask questions, and some of them might not be comfortable for you, but that is my job as an interviewer. So please understand that. Okay, thank you. Okay, Liz, we have 51 people in the chat. Do you want to say hello to the folks that are just coming in? Let's get some energy going. Let's drop some fire emojis and let's pump this energy up. And speaking of dating and speaking of marriage, you do have a husband.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share something about your husband so that we can segue into that topic as we enter the last topic of the evening?
Okay, yeah, I did get married about 2.5 years ago. And like I said earlier in the chat, I have a son that I just had this year. So far, our marriage is great. I met him in my hometown, and we were able to connect. And like I told you earlier, we connected on a religious level. He's a Christian, and I'm also a Christian. So, we just kind of, met each other and got to know each other and grew from there. And 2 years later, we got married, and now we have a child.
Wow. Congratulations to you, first of all. And we did talk about this earlier. And so I will let you share the ethnicity of your husband, and then I will lead into the chat that we had. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. So he's white, and obviously, cultural differences and a lot of differences came towards us, and we had to work through everything in order to even be able to be married to each other. So there was a lot that had to go on before we got married. Yeah, but so far he's white.
Wow. And so I told you when we spoke, I find this really fascinating because I have noticed just in my experience that it seems that African women from Africa who come to America, it often seems easier for you all to relate to and marry white American men than it is for Black American women. And I've always found that interesting. Why do you think it's so Why do you think that is?
So I don't necessarily know exactly why it is. I think it's just about like, just having something in common with each other. Like, for example, it's all about what both individuals find important to them.
Mm,
So, for example, it could be religion. Like with me and my husband, it was religion based, and sometimes with other people, it could be education. It could be, they like something, they have a similar interest in something. There's always it's always a similar interest with both individuals, not really about the skin color or family or anything like that. I think race comes in when you involve family because now they're seeing the color of your skin, now they're asking questions. But with both individuals as a couple, they most likely have something that they have similarities with, and it
mm,
really doesn't have anything to do with race.
mm. And so, as an African woman, when you're coming to America, you're not seeing race when you're dating.
I am seeing race when I'm dating. Um, and I told you earlier about like when I met my husband, I honestly was not interested in dating him because of the fact that he was white. And I know that is a very huge comment to make at this time, but it was just my, in the era that we live in, but it was just my personal thoughts. But he still tried to get to know me. He started communicating with me and, all that stuff. And I started seeing, the similarities that we had, the goals that we both shared, the value for family, the value for children, like all those things that I hold dear to myself. He had that as well. So I was very intrigued to knowing him more, and we started dating and getting to know each other. And I found out that we had a lot more in common than I even knew. And that was
Mm.
the driving force towards our relationship.
Wow, that is very fascinating. I need to call out a super chat. Wow. So we have the Happy Companion, and I'm so glad that you dropped in. I believe I may have seen a couple of your videos, and so definitely subscribe to his channel. Check him out. I'm so glad you decided to spend the evening with us, and thank you for the super chat. It is so appreciated when you support the channel. Liz, do you mind reading his question and answering it since he has been so generous with the super chat, please?
Yeah, the question says, question for Liz, does the age difference between a Nigerian contribute to their success? I think so. I think that the age does say a lot about their success, and it's a definition that anybody can have. So, for example, the 24-year-old Nigerian is already thinking, I gotta finish my school, I gotta get into my career. And an older Nigerian is already like into their career and already thinking about marriage, already thinking about investing, kids, making more money, like just making their lives a lot better than it is. So
Mm,
I'm not really sure about the difference because at age 18 in Nigeria, you're already thinking about going to college. You're already thinking about, bettering your life. So I think the scope across all the boards is that you're already thinking about bettering your life and
mm.
making sure that you thrive and you do better than what you're doing at that moment. So that's the thing that I would say about like all age groups is that they're definitely trying to become better than what they were yesterday.
Okay. And he sent an edit. It says a Nigerian couple, I mean. So, question for Liz: does the age difference between a Nigerian couple contribute to their success? Is that your question, the Happy Companion? I just want to make sure that we got it right since you sent an edit. But it sounds like what you're saying is that the age factors in terms of how they're looking at the education prospects and the money.
hmm So, if you're looking at the question with the education part, yeah, all age groups are all looking at making more money for sure, becoming a better version of themselves, educating themselves, and that aspect. So now he says, yes, the age group. Okay, so
Mhm.
the age gap, I think with couples, if they're in their early 20s, it's very rare to find a Nigerian couple like, thinking about getting married at 22.
Mm.
Well, when they're 32, they're definitely thinking about getting married. So they have that 10-year gap where they're like, okay, I'm going to spend the last 10 years of my life just working, making money, getting my education. But then when I hit 32, I have to definitely start thinking about getting married. So, that would be the thing that, I would say with the age group with 30s, late 20s as a woman in Nigeria, you're hitting 29, you're hitting 30, you're definitely going to start thinking about marriage because you have family members that are telling you to think about that. So, as a woman and as a man, men in Nigeria don't really have the whole, like, I have to get married, early. But
Yeah.
a woman has that mentality of I have to get married in my late 20s, in my early 30s. I have to think about that. But it's definitely in their mind. So dating, I'm going to say this right now, dating a Nigerian woman who's 29, 30, 31, she's definitely waiting for you to ask her to marry her at some point in your relationship. She's not just dating for fun. She's dating to be married at some point.
Oh, wow. Well, the happy companion says, thanks, Liz. So it sounds like he really appreciated that answer. And happy companion, definitely thank you so much for your support of the channel. So glad to have you here. And yeah, definitely looking forward to more collabs in the future. Wow. Well, Liz, let's get back into this. So I know that you told me that when you initially were thinking of dating, you wanted a Black man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I had that image in my head. I wanted a Black man, and for some reason, I met a white man.
so what was that like? Did you date Black American men before you got married and got serious? Have you?
I dated one Black American man. I met him in college, and we were only together for a few months, but we only fell apart because he had to move to another city for his job, and I didn't want to move because I already had my own job. But that was the reason for that. And then the next man I met was my husband, and he was trying to get to know me, and I was not having that. But he broke into the wall and got in.
Wow. And so what do you think is the attraction factor between African women and white American men? And I know that's a little bit of a hot question, but what is that factor that you think is so potent between the two of those groups in America?
So, are you saying the white men and the African women? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for every other couple out there. For me, my husband has told me that the number one factor that he liked about me was my hair. It was natural. I didn't have anything on it. And he was attracted to that because he doesn't really see that a lot in America. So he told me that when he saw me for the first time, he kind of had the inclination that I wasn't from here. And then he spoke to me and he knew that I definitely wasn't from here because I do have a little accent. So he told me that he just liked my physical image in terms of how I carried myself. I wasn't really wearing makeup. I wasn't having, extra things on me. I was just looking like the most natural I can possibly be. So he liked that. And he told me that was the number one attraction that he had when he met me.
Wow. And so just being natural and makeup free and not having all the extra hair and all of that really separated you.
Yeah.
Wow. And so what was it like having the white man introduced into your culture? How was that process?
So it was definitely hard because he did not understand a lot of the processes because we had to go through something like an African traditional marriage. So he had to do a lot of different routines that he has not been used to. So he basically had to be taught by my parents how to go about the traditional marriage aspect of things. So after he was taught how to do those things, he was able to just go ahead and do it. But he just enjoyed everything. He loved the process. He loved the tradition that we had. And he came in and everything was smooth and he didn't have any issues with anything or anyone.
Wow. And so your religion brought you together with your husband because you both are very into Christianity, correct?
Yeah.
And so And so I'm curious, for example, we know that, the return to traditional African religions has become really popular in the last few years. I know in Nigeria, like Ifa is really big, and a lot of people are beginning to practice that. So if you were to say, hey, would I have more in common with a Nigerian who maybe practices a traditional religion or an American who is Christian? How would
Mhm.
you answer that?
So I wouldn't be able to answer too much into that because I don't really know any Nigerian that's practicing another religion from Christianity and Islam.
Mm,
So the two major religions in Nigeria is Christianity and Islam. So you do have small pockets of people that do, traditional religions and all that.
mm,
But I can only speak for everybody that I've met in my life, and they've all been Christians or Muslims, and
mm.
they've all been great people.
Wow.
So I don't really have much about the small traditional religions on that.
Okay. Wow. Well, that is incredible. Do you find that people are very surprised when they see you that your husband is not Nigerian?
Not really, because in terms of my family, my culture, everybody around me is exposed enough to know that sometimes in life you're going to meet people that don't look like you,
Mm,
and you end up marrying somebody that doesn't look like you. Especially with me, I'm very well versed. I'm very, well rounded in terms of meeting people in life and just getting to know everyone. So I was bound to meet somebody that wasn't gonna follow suit in terms of how I look and all that.
mhm.
So it wasn't very surprising that I met somebody who didn't look like me, and my family was able to accept him because they raised us to love everyone as much as we love ourselves.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, that brings us to the end of our interview. Liz, we have 61 people watching. Do you want to say hello to all of the folks that are watching you out there?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone.
And also, do you mind telling people a little bit about your background? So I know that you are from a specific tribe in Nigeria. Do you mind just sharing a little bit of info about like your tribe, maybe hello in your language, and just anything that you think the audience could learn from?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this in my language. Abadie, it means how are you in Ibibio. So I am from Akwa Ibom, the Ibibio tribe in Nigeria. It's a smaller tribe than the three major tribes,
Mm.
but it's definitely well known by a lot of Nigerians and a lot of Africans. So I would definitely say I'm very proud of where I come from, and I'm happy with how I was raised, and I'm very happy with my family, my husband, my kid, everything that I have. I'm very happy with that.
Wow, very nice. And how did you say hello? I always like to learn something new.
It's called Abadie.
Abadie?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, Abadie.
Oh, that is so awesome. All right. And did you have a business or anything that you wanted to share with all of the folks that are watching?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Well, Liz, thank you so much for coming on. I definitely really enjoyed learning more about your perspective. And I certainly think the audience has learned more about some of the inside tips about how the Nigerian group has become so successful in America. So thank you for sharing some of your evening with us and have a great night.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Everyone say bye to Liz. Bye, Liz. Okay,
Bye.
yeah. Okay. You got it. You just exit out.
Oh, okay. I
Wow. Well, she did it. Wow. Thank you. 63 people in the chat. Hello, my people. How are you? If you're happy to see your DJ, can I see some fire emojis? If you enjoyed that interview, we spoke with a Nigerian woman herself, and she shared some of her cultural perspective about why Nigerians are so successful in America. And it it is really good to get a different view. So if you enjoyed that, let me see a fire emoji and let's chat for a little bit. I want to chat. Does anyone want to come on the panel and speak out? I have some time today. Okay, I'm just catching up on some of the comments. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Hello. Oh, good interview. Oh, thank you. A lot of people are saying they enjoyed. Hi, Benjamin. Let me get some of these comments. 1 second. Okay, that's Favor Bless. Hi, Favor. I believe I've seen you in my comments section. So definitely, hi, welcome to the crew. Happy Companion says, great interview, DJ. Yes, maybe a collab one day. We definitely need to do that. Please hit up the email. A lot of folks saying bye, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Great interview. Fire. Natia, we definitely need you to come on. Are you able to hop on real quick to introduce yourself? Okay, we've got more fire emojis. Yes, I really enjoyed that interview, and it was really nice to hear a different perspective. So I think sometimes we can get into our own heads about, why is this group so successful, right? And I've heard a lot of theories as to why Nigerians are so successful in America, and even some people on my community page said it's because they have oil money and that they bring oil money from Nigeria. And I can assure you, not every Nigerian has oil money, okay? So I thought it would be really cool to have someone from the culture share directly, what she believes makes her group so successful. And of course, no one has to agree, no one has to like it, but we are critical thinkers on this channel. So we like to find out from the source itself. And I thought it was really cool to hear what she had to say. I saw some of the women getting hot in the chat when she was talking about being submissive is what you all called it. I was like, wow, the women are getting hot. So, okay, let me drop the link. Okay, the Happy Companion. Have a great evening. I'm guessing it's very late where you are, right? So definitely we will connect. So here is the link, and let me see, can I pin this? Okay, here is the link. And if you want to join the stream, just to hop on, chit chat for a bit, let's do that. I haven't seen you all in a while, so I would like some quality time. So yes, there is the link. Someone asked me for it. Did I miss them? Ooh, folks are talking about submission. Someone says submission is not a bad thing. It's midnight here. I love submissive women. Being submissive is a skill. Very interesting. Okay. The parents demand academic excellence, correct? Someone said, can you put me on? So there is the link. I've dropped it, so you are free to come on. So what do you all think of the chat? If you enjoyed that, put a 1 in the chat to let me know. Okay. Oh, there I am. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Absolutely. So please introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are and what you'd like to share.
Yeah, I am Victor. My name is Victor Babs. I'm Nigerian myself, Nigerian American. And
Oh, that's nice in the house.
yes, Nigeria in the house, man. And I've been here for about 16 years in America. I go back and forth to the continent. Still love the continent. I'm planning to probably even move back at some point. I mean, relatively, I can say I'm successful in the United States. And a
Mm.
lot of people always ask the same question. They always say, well, "What's up with y'all Nigerians, man?" It's like y'all just keep doing it. And I have a few, and I have some few theories about it. And generally, I also I think I also have a good perspective about it because I've actually lived in other parts of Africa, and also
Mm.
kind of seen how other immigrants are on here in the United States and even how they live in general. So
Mm.
I felt when I saw your topic, I'm an avid follower of your channel because I'm always interested in African Americans who are interested in the continent because I believe that a unification of both can actually contribute to our development as in terms of the continent and African Americans themselves. White Americans also benefited from Europe. African Americans are the only ones who have not benefited from Africa, and Africa has still not
Mm.
benefited from you being here in
Mm.
America. So I have this strong passion to seeing us connect and working together to make things happen.
Mm. Wow, that is powerful. So I would love to hear from you. So you heard our guest, Liz. She's from the Ibibio tribe, and she shared her perspective on why Nigerians are so successful. If you don't mind my asking, what tribe are you from?
I'm Yoruba. Yoruba.
Oh, Bawone. Don't get me started. You know, take notes. Okay, so we've got a Yoruba in the house. Okay, so why don't you tell us, in your opinion and your own words, what is the secret sauce? Why are Nigerians so successful in America?
All right. So I believe that when we come here, we're hungry. There's hunger, right? In the sense that we want to come to this country and be successful because where we're coming from is a very competitive place. People don't know this, but Nigeria, even being the richest country in Africa, is also the poverty capital of the world.
Mm,
It's kind of an oxymoron. We have a lot of oil money, yes, but there's a lot of disparity between the rich and the poor, right? So a country that's about 200,000 people, you have about 100,000 of them that are living in absolute poverty. And then you have the rest, the 100,000 that's a lot of people. 100,000 is a lot of people that are doing okay. But in relative for the fact that you have a country that is huge, there's a lot of people still living in poverty. So what happens is the people who are doing well are doing very well. But again,
mm,
in order to keep that, to be in that position, you have to be competitive. You have to be smart. You have to be educated. You have to be driven. You have to migrate. You have to go somewhere else to get that wealth. You have to do these things. Your attitude has to be of one that wants to win, right? So
mm,
when you come to the United States, you are literally not allowing all of the other issues Americans dealing with, whether it be racism or whether it be uh, being over westernized. You don't have time for that. What you came to this country to do is to succeed. You know what I'm saying? I could even be in an office place where one of my bosses might be racist, as long as I can tolerate him to a certain level, as long as I'm getting a paycheck. Guess what?
mm,
An African American will never do that, right?
mm,
Let's give an example like that. Right? And I have colleagues, I have African American friends who would
mm,
never tolerate some of the stuff my boss tells me. But you know what I'm saying?
mm.
But I'm like, no, fuck that. I want this check. So I'm saying, sorry, I use
Language.
yeah, my
Ladies
bad.
are in the house.
Yes, yes. Let me. I apologize for that.
Ladies
Um,
are in the house.
I apologize for, but no, but really, seriously though, it's more about the fact that we really want to win that badly. You tolerate to a
Mm,
certain extent, and you're saying to yourself that, hey, um, I only have what 4 or 5 years at this office or this company. Let me
mm,
go ahead and make this money so I can then start my own business.
mm,
That type of mindset. It's the mindset where the world is not fair, so you can't
mhm,
act like everything has to be fair for you to move forward. No, you just have to remember that the world is not fair and learn how to play that game.
mm. So
Right?
you're saying that you're willing to deal with a racist as long as it does not come in between you and your money.
Exactly. That's
Wow.
I mean, that's like a quoted thing that Nigerians tell each other. We would tell each other, like, somebody tells you, hey, over there they racist, don't go there. So no, if there's money to be made over there, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? You know, we don't take that attitude. It's just like somebody, there's a common saying among Nigerians: if you go to a certain place, a country in the world, and you don't see any Nigerians, then that means there is no money there. That's it. And that's the reason why you go to Russia. Nigerians are a lot over there. You go to the most obscure places in the world, and you will see tons of Nigerians. The reason is because we go there and we say, hey, if there's money to be made, if there's an economy where there are jobs, there's ability for you to generate some revenue, I'm going to be there. I want to make that money. Whether I don't speak the language, but I don't know these people, I know I'm different, I'm there to make it. That's one of the biggest things I observe, and we even know as Nigerians about that is true about us. We're very competitive people. Competitive people is period.
So let me ask you this. What is the disconnect that you see between Black Americans and Nigerians? Because, for example, I've lived in places where there were large Nigerian populations, but they never lived in the same neighborhoods as Black Americans. They would move on the other side of town. They wouldn't frequent the same places. They didn't intermarry a lot. There always seemed to be this tension. What is that disconnect, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's just pure human nature. It's human differences. African Americans, born and raised in this country with their history, have their own culture. You have your own way of life, your own perspective about the world, right? But Africans and Nigerians or whatever, I see things live slightly differently. I mean, I just mentioned the fact that I said I would go to a place to, even if there's racism there, as long as there's money there, I would, I'll still go there. I know many African Americans that would not do that, right? Because you've been conditioned, or just not even only conditioned, just the history has told you that you don't want to be in a place that you're not welcome, right? So that attitude, right? But realizing that, Africans, we've not been welcomed anywhere, so might as well go there.
So you're like, okay, it's fine because we're not welcome anyway. So
exactly, you know what I'm saying? So we're going in there. We're going there anyways, So that's like the main one big thing. Two, history is number one too. I always tell people this: Africans really do not know, especially the ones who live on the continent, do not know the history of African Americans. They don't know what they've been through. I said I've been here for 16 years. It took me a while to understand why people thought the way they were. I was always wondering, why are you so mad at the white man so much? And they would just, and after I learned the history, I was like, oh yeah, I can see why you're so mad. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But when we're in Africa, we don't really, we're a little bit far removed from that, right? So the few white folks we see are missionaries trying to preach the gospel. We're like, yeah, this is a white nice guy, right? You know what I'm saying? He's not that bad. But then you come to America and then you see so much anger. You so much like, oh, I can't mess with whitey. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm like, why are you so angry? Like, do you know that if you transact with them, there's more likelihood that you will be successful? You know what I'm saying? Right? But then you start to learn their history and you start understanding it as a conditioning. I'm not saying that you don't have the right to be mad, but being mad, so there's a proverb. It says, a child who cries cannot see the way. If you're still crying from our past hurt, you cannot see where you're going because your tears in your eyes are blurring your vision. You know what I'm saying? So you can't see where you're going, because if you're still looking backwards, talking about the hurt from the back, you can't go forward. You know what I'm saying? So that's an African proverb, right? So it's the idea that you need to look forward, but remember your past. And we're not saying forget it, but remember that the future is a new course you're creating. You're creating something new for yourself. So that's number one. So like generally, I believe like that attitude in terms of just being angry, there's a big difference between African Americans and Africans. Now, the other thing I would say, and many Africans might not find this popular from my perspective, but I always say this: some of us Africans, we do actually come from privilege. Let me say this. Let me put it this way: some of us actually got better educations than African Americans. Right? We went in our country, we went to good schools, decent schools, right? and we came to America and we understood, hey, how to read and write and say, let's figure this out. I was shocked to know that this is the richest country in the world. And I had some African Americans who could not read, who had no basic skills, right? How do you think you're going to succeed if you don't have any basic skills, right? So now you're struggling with immigrants coming in. You're struggling with America outsourcing all of its work to China, right? And you are here with no tools to help you succeed. You know what I'm saying? So that's number one. So even though I'm coming from the third world, which is the poverty part of the world, right? Being an African, I still got an education. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though it might have been in a hut, it might have been in a little shanty looking little building, but I still got a structured education.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And that's the difference. Even though with the fancy buildings here in America, some of these schools are so horrible. These kids are graduating with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine that. So even if I'm coming from high school or I'm coming to college, I already kind of have an advantage over some folks because of the fact that I'm already educated, right? And I already have the mindset of getting educated. I can sit down and go through college. I remember when I first came to America for college, my first semester, I was going home for vacation, and one of my African American brothers, he walks up to me and, man, this school thing ain't for me, man. I'm out of here, man. He says that to me first semester, and I'm like, dude, how do you know? This is just the first semester. He said, nah, man, I already figured out this school shit ain't for me. So this school thing ain't for me. And I was like, you can't even determine that under what, 3-4 months? Why don't you do this? Yeah, why don't you go for another 2-3 years and figure this out and see whether school is for you, or necessarily, or maybe go to a trade or something. But that attitude of not persevering, right? You know what I'm saying? Or like staying through the course, right? It's so American. Americans give up so easily. I work with a lot of kids here, and I'll be like, they have so much choices. I don't need to do that. I could do this, right? It's like, no, you have no choice. Go to school. You have no choice. You got to succeed. You have no choice. You can't play video games. You got to work. You got to do your own work, right?
Yeah.
But in America, it's like, it's not that serious. They're like, it's not that serious. Like, he can go play some video game a little bit on Christmas. I mean, he could go do this. He could go. I'm gonna buy him all these things. He's like, no, you see the problem. You're spoiling these kids because they have to understand that in life, that's not how choices work. The way you get more choices is by actually having more money, right? So having more money means getting educated and being successful. Then you get more choices. If you're giving too much choices early, what happens?
You go ahead.
Yeah, if you're giving too much choices, what happens is like you end up being spoilt, like with the choices, right? So you don't know how to make actually tough decisions. All right. So I see somebody asking me, so why do you think you stay in your own country?
Yes. So I put up the question. This is from Empowered Black Women. Hey, she's someone who supports the channel very regularly. And her question is, why didn't you stay in your country? What is your answer to that?
Absolutely. So like I just said earlier, Nigeria is a country of 200 million people. 100,000 of them live in poverty, absolute poverty. So there is really not that much opportunity for people. And that's why people migrate to the United States. And that's what America has always been about. America has been a country for immigrants. So when people always say, oh, Africans should just stay in Africa. No, that's not true. If you want to get a better opportunity, you go to a place where there's more opportunity, right? So that's what happens. We all migrate to the United States. We go to Europe. We go to France. America is not the only country. If America does not let you in, I actually have friends from high school who are in Europe, who are in Asia, who are in other parts of the world where there is opportunity, right? But it's not necessarily where you're welcome. Remember that, right? Remember I just said that, right? And I might not necessarily, some people might be hostile to me saying, hey, I don't want you here, but I don't care about whether you don't want me here, right? The question is, if the person who's given the job needs me, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here to make that money. So so it's all about opportunity. It's really about coming to this country and empowering yourself. Everybody wants to be able to provide for themselves, for their family, their other individuals. I have relatives, cousins, neighbors, whatever in Nigeria right now. Every time I get a call, hey, I need money. Hey, I'm broke. I'm this, I'm that. So even though I'm working here in America, I'm sending half of my salary back home because
Wow.
because I got to take care of my siblings, brothers, friends. It's like that, and that's another thing that we Africans have to work hard because we're working for other people too back home. You know what I'm saying? So those are part of the reasons.
Wow. Well, that's really fascinating because that's something that the guest mentioned, right? Liz, she mentioned that when Nigerians come here, they have the responsibility of taking care of whole families. And so they're coming with the mentality of there's no time to play. We've got business to take care of. And she said that was one of the reasons why they are so successful. Did you have any thoughts on the interview? Any particular parts that stood out to you? Reaction in general?
I'll be sincere. I actually missed that part of the
Okay.
I did.
Well, yeah. Do you have anything you want to share with the chat? Just any comments that you've seen or any thoughts that you've had? Now is the time.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't shy away from saying a little bit controversial things in the sense that, for me, I feel like the way to empower us as Black folks is we need to stop letting the noise get in too much. And I feel like the noise is really distracting us from our success, right? Mm-hmm. And what I always tell my Black brothers and sisters is that, stop being emotional about everything. If you be emotional about everything, like I said, you will just not be able to see the direction you want to go. And really, as people like yourself, who have a great platform, you sound educated, you're smart, you're beautiful. You really have the podium to telling other girls, other men, females who are from here in this country that, hey, you need to focus on bettering yourself and stop complaining about the other person, right? We're too focused on other people. Like, stop that. Like, we need to start focusing on us. Better yourself. Get yourself to a certain place, right? And where you feel comfortable and you feel happy with where you are, right? And not necessarily looking at other people, because we always want to compare ourselves. You want to say, even with the statistics that you just mentioned about Nigerian Americans, I've seen so many Black folks who are mad about that statistics. They say things like, they came to this country to come take our jobs. But guess what? That's the same complaints every immigrant or every native population says in every country. The immigrants are the reasons why they take their jobs. Right? You can't keep falling on that. America's an immigrant country. It's a country that's going to always keep having immigrants coming in. So what you have to do to yourself to get yourself better is the key, right? We always want to talk about but the white folks do that too. My ex, she always used to do this a lot. She would always say,
wait, was your ex an American, a Black American?
Black American, yes. And every time I tell her stuff like that, I say something to her, she would try to correct her. She would say, well, white folks do that too. Why is the white folks the measurement of what's right and wrong? Like, it's almost like I'm like they too are wrong. The white folks.
You know what? I have seen that myself because I remember back when everything happened with Bill Cosby and other folks, and I would see all of these people on the internet saying, "Well, where are all the white people that go to jail for this?" And it's like, wait, like that's not okay to do, whether white people do it or not. So I think we have to reevaluate that measuring stick.
Exactly.
But let me pause. Wait a minute. We need some likes. If y'all are enjoying this session, I need to see those likes up. I need to see some fire emojis in the chat. Victor is bringing us his perspective. He's a Yoruba man. He's ready to let us know how it goes down in Yoruba land. So definitely. Definitely turn those likes up. You see, he's drinking water because we're turning it up. So, Victor, let's talk about Black American women. So you said your ex was Black American. What is the experience like dating a Black American woman? I just want to step outside of my shoes. And if you were just talking to someone from another planet, and you had to describe what it's like to date a Black American woman as a Nigerian man, how would you describe it?
Hey, I had the better end of the whole deal. I'm not gonna lie. What I mean by that is that she was from a small town in Tennessee, and I would swear she was raised like an African woman. I don't know how she had all of these African tools set ready. She was submissive. I mean, literally, she did everything for me other than wipe my ass and tuck me to.
Language. Okay, seriously.
Sorry. I'm too Americanized. I'm just but other than tuck me to bed, and she did everything for me. She cooked, cleaned, and everything. And I remember one time I was having a conversation with a friend who came over to my house, and he said, even Nigerian women don't do this much. In the sense that, I had the better end of it, in the sense that many of my other friends who've dated African American women say that African American women are not submissive. They don't know how to, talk to a man. They don't believe in that, right? But I also I also believe this, and I'm just generally speaking. I think it's kind of, like I said, it's also the way people have been raised. It's if a man is not doing his part, it's hard for a woman to kind of submit, right? So I tend to notice a lot of men in this country not doing their part, right? And so women have gotten accustomed to that, and they're like, oh, these men, are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's why I have to empower myself. And because of that, they get too used to it. They get so, independent, so strong-headed, so driven. Like, if a woman since the age of 18, after she left her parents' home, has been making money, has been making her own decisions, has been doing everything for herself, when you bring a man into the equation, she does not know how to listen to him. She does not. Even if he's right, she's thinking to herself, I don't trust his decision, right? And that's where the problem lies. Compared to us in Nigeria or in Africa in general, most places, ladies live with their parents till they get married. So what happens is the father is the head of the house, right? And they see a male authority, right, in their house. Then they find the man of the man they want to marry, or the man who wants to marry comes to pick them up. And when they move into his house, he's the man now, and she listens to his authority, right? So they understand that. They understand that continuity, right? It's a patriotic system, right? So it's the man, and she follows his orders. But then over here you have single mothers, so they've seen women being the matriarch, being the head of the household, right? And so when they come out of the household, they're 18 and they start their own life. They're used to making all the decisions. They don't know how to deal with a man coming to tell them something, especially a man who doesn't have his stuff together. Not necessarily his stuff together. He might not have everything where he wants to be. That's not where he wants to be yet, right? So she's 22, 23, and she's meeting a guy who, maybe has a job but doesn't have a car, right? And she's like, oh, I can't listen to you. I mean, you ain't got your stuff together. But he's working his way there, but then the problem too is also she just can't respect him. And I think that's just one of the main issues. My ex was a little different. I mean, the reason we ended up breaking up was ambition. Back to this Nigerian thing. It's like she was just not driven enough. She felt cooking and cleaning for you was enough. She felt, you know what I'm saying? Like, she felt. No. I mean, like, she felt spending $400 on her hair every paycheck, the little paycheck she makes from the job she had at that point, spending almost half of it on hair and looking good was enough. I said, no, I think you need to develop yourself as a woman. I'm not saying you need to out earn me. I'm not saying you need to make a hell of money. I just want you to make decent amount, enough that you can even do things for yourself and for the family, right? And I would take care of the main stuff, right? And that's all I needed. But we just couldn't get there. It was just hard. She went to school 4 times, dropped out. We were together for 5 years. And
wow.
Yeah. So I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. If you can't get it together, like, I'd rather want to be with somebody who's also as driven. But then the quagmire I got myself into was, after I broke up with her, most driven, successful Black American women are hard-headed. They just don't want to listen.
Victor, I don't know if you're gonna get any ladies after this. Ladies, ladies, if you feeling Victor, put a one in the chat.
No,
And
I'm
also,
just being
wait.
real.
Oh, no, no problem. Of course, no, everyone is free to share their opinion as long as it's respectful. You've been very respectful and you're just
Thank
sharing
you.
your perspective. But for the folks, I see a lot of folks with a lot of things to say. If you want to join the channel, the link is in the chat. Tracy and some others have said a lot of things. So if you want to join the panel and talk with Victor and myself, just go ahead and hit the link. It's an open session, so anybody is welcome to join. I see some of my new subscribers. Favor Bless, welcome. Matthew Beach, welcome. I've seen you on some of my comments, Matthew. So glad to have you. So yes, you're welcome to join. Victor, I'm curious. So you said that the women have gotten used to dealing with men that are not doing what they are supposed to do. So I'm curious, what would you say is the main difference between a Nigerian man and a Black American man?
Yeah, so this is kind of ties to the few things I just said earlier, and this is a person who have studied this a little deeper. You know, African American men, obviously, due to racism, due to the history of this country, have kind of been oppressed and not been able to truly fulfill what a man's duty is, which is to provide and protect his woman, right? So African American men have actually kind of been at a disadvantage, right? And so they've also not learned from a lot. They don't have, father figures. There's a lot of broken homes and whatnot. We as African folks, many of us who come here, already have the advantage of being in two-parent homes. So we had a father figure. We still had our culture intact, right? So we still had like some kind of rules and regulations we had to follow, whether it be religious or whether it be cultural. And then we came here with at least the basic education. And those who don't come with education, that really doesn't matter because your culture covers for that, right? If you're told to respect a woman, respect people around you, respect your elders, that is an education, right? Because you get to with just those basic tools, you can learn so much. So when we come here, we notice that some of the men are not up to par because even in African standards, right? So we look at it like you would not even succeed if you went to Africa, my man. If yeah, and that's why your women are having a hard time listening to you. You know what I'm saying? It's because you're not doing your part. You're supposed to be the provider and protector. And when I always tell people provider and protector, protect from what? Other men. Men are the predators. We are the hunters. So a man is supposed to protect his woman and his family from other men who come in to try to destroy it. That is his job. But if you can't even provide, how would you be able to even do that? So a lot of times why African men are winning, I generally would say they are winning, is because they already have these tools set up for them. They already have what they need coming into this country. You know what I'm saying? That's very attractive to women. Women love to see a man who has his stuff together. Now, he might come in here come to the United States with $20 in his account. But guess what? He has that drive, that Nigerian drive I just mentioned, right? And a woman would see it. So she puts him on a couch for the first month. But guess what? He got a job next month. Next month he got his own car. Next month he got his own place. I actually have Nigerian friends who would tell me that they would never move in with a woman. They would want that woman to move in with them. I said, what about if she's more established than you are? I said, never. He says it's ground for disrespect.
Wow.
That's
this
how they
grounds for
right?
disrespect. Wow.
Exactly.
Wait, hold up. I see someone else is trying to join us. Matthew Beach is trying to join us. It says your device is not connected. So you need to connect your mic or your cam so that the system can pick you up. So I see you in the stream, but it won't let me add you until you actually connect like with your phone. So go ahead and connect and I can add you to the panel. Okay, Victor, continue.
Yeah. So to the question you were asking about in comparison of African men compared to American Black men, that's the issue. I really believe the history has messed up the Black family. Period. That's number one. All right. So a lot of black men are playing catch up, right? So it's like that's why even a black woman will look at a white man even more as a more masculine, more manly man because he's doing his duty, right? He can provide, he has the money, and he can protect, right? He has the power. He has the power to protect them, right? And so black men don't have that. I mean, or at least we never used to have that historically. Now we're finally just getting to that point where we do have that. But an immigrants is like we immigrants, we don't have that history. We don't have that baggage. So we are able to kind of come in with a different, fresh attitude and motivation. And we also understand the way the world works. Money over everything. It's, and now it depends on how you grew up.
He said money over everything.
No, but honestly, like I grew up Christian. So, my family grew up with morals and whatnot. So we definitely always made sure that you temper down your lust for money. But overall, as a society, Nigerians, there's some Nigerians, I've heard them do some crazy things for money. And I'll be like, that's way overboard. But once you have that attitude, once you really already have that attitude, you're at least able to compete, right? And eventually you become a provider, you become a protector, all right, for your family.
Wow, absolutely. Well, we have another guest that is joining us, Matthew Beach. Hi, how are you?
Oh, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. So please go ahead and introduce yourself to the chat. Let us know where you're from and share your thoughts on anything that we've discussed.
My name is Matthew Beach. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I plan on moving to Gambia soon. I just joined the chat, so I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but I'm hearing a lot about Nigerians and African American.
Yeah, so we had an interview earlier where we were discussing the Nigerian success story. Nigerians are the most successful immigrant group in America, and we had a Nigerian woman on to share why she thinks that is the case. Since you didn't get a chance to see the interview or anything like that, did you just have any general thoughts that you wanted to add to the panel, or just anything in general you wanted to share? I know you're a new subby, so welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I just can't wait to get to Gambia. I don't know that much about Nigerians. I've never been to Nigeria. I've been to Gambia a few times, and I absolutely love it there. The Gambians are the warmest, nicest people on earth that I've met, so that's why I want to move there permanently. But I actually am getting coached for my e-commerce business by a Nigerian now. So he's teaching me the business, and so things are going well. But as far as making blanket statements about different people from different cultures, I don't really know,
Absolutely. So why Gambia? You said they're the nicest people, so it sounds like you've traveled there. What put Gambia on your radar, and what really won you over with Gambia?
Well, I traveled a few different countries. I went to Mexico, Thailand, I went to Namibia and Southwest Africa, and I went to Gambia. And Gambia has been my favorite country that I've been to. I just love it there. I just know there's kind of a calling for me. There's a calling to go back to the motherland and to come back to Africa. So I feel that's what I kind of have to do, and that's what I want to do. And I feel like Gambia is the perfect place to be. Since I visited there, it's just that now that I've been there, I know that's where I want to go. So there's not too much. I don't have to worry about too much. I just go there, and then, that'll be the place for me. It's kind of simple.
Wow, very interesting. Well, Victor, do you have any thoughts? I noticed that Matthew mentioned that he wants to go back to the motherland. And so it sounds like, Matthew, you feel Africa is your motherland as well, which is really fascinating. Victor, did you have any thoughts on that?
we live in a globalized world, and anybody can immigrate to wherever they want to go to. That's fine. What I do not like to see, like I said, I've lived in a lot of parts of Africa. I've never been to Gambia, but I've been to Senegal. Is what I just do not like is somehow the kind of disrespect that non-Africans bring to the continent. Some of them come with this superiority mentality because I'm in a third world country. They don't know nothing. So let me bring my Europeanish, colonial mindset to the continent. That doesn't happen in Nigeria. That's why many of them don't go to Nigeria, because Nigerians are very, very proud and arrogant people. The reason they go to Gambia, Senegal, countries like that is because they're very welcoming and docile. They're really not that aggressive. I lived in the Ivory Coast also. The French also do the same thing over there. But the white South Africans do not like Nigerians, because Nigerians, when we go to South Africa, we have this very arrogant attitude. We do not take nonsense from non-Africans, and so that is really my issue with, if you're not of African descent and you're going to Africa, go there with respect. Go there, with at least understanding that you're going there, that they welcomed you in. Go there to better their lives, not go there to subject them to harsh labor and exploit the individuals over there. Not to exploit the women. Go there. That's my thing.
Matthew, any thoughts on that? Oh, I think frozen. I think it might be frozen. Oh, Matthew, you're frozen. You may need to refresh. Oh, I see you now. Do you see us?
Oh, I'm just on my phone. Yeah, I can see you. You just cut out for a second there.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. You're free to respond.
Basically, I feel like I have nothing really to teach Africa or Africans. Africans have always imparted lessons onto me. Like, I'm kind of like almost like a baby or like a child, and Africa is like they're kind of like parental figures or something. Like, it's kind of weird to say that, but that's just the way I kind of look at things. Like, Africans have done nothing but teach me morality and respect and dignity and spirituality. So I feel like it's not to go there to exploit or to colonize or anything. It's just because, like, Africa's kind of my saving grace, and I feel like Africans have a lot to teach. I don't really have anything to teach. I feel like they're there to kind of help me along.
Wow, that's very interesting. Well, let me welcome another guest. Fanta is joining the chat. Fanta, why don't you say hello to the chat and share your thoughts on anything that we have discussed?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I've been watching. I'm on my way from work, but I just want to contribute before, like, you get off. The aspect of, like, the African men from the continent and the difference with the African American men in America. I want to talk on that.
Okay.
It has to do. Sorry if you're not seeing me. I'm in a cab. I'm going home. So, in Africa, men are raised to be a provider from baby, from little. They start raising you. So, for example, from my family, my brothers were raised to take care of, support financially their homes. And then I was raised to take care of the home as a woman, like take care of the home. It's not that you will go to school, you will do everything, but you have your role in the home as a woman and as the man. So, for example, when we were rushing to go to the kitchen to cook, my father and my brothers would be doing things that has to do with men taking care of their homes. You understand? Doing things that you're supposed to do as a man when you have a family. That's why your father will be showing you. Unlike what I have seen here, maybe it's the it's not for Black American or whatever, it's the American society or whatever. They tend to be like women and men are equal, and they do a lot of things. A lot of laws are in place, and where the men and feel like, oh, the women have to do it 50-50. There are a lot of things here that like when it comes to men fully supporting homes, it's difficult here. First, America is expensive. The taxes, a lot of things, a lot of factors play that role. So what I have seen here, even the African men moving here also face that problem. We also have that in the immigrant community with the African men from the continent. When they get here, they change. Also, the men, the women too from the continent, the men from the continent complain that when we get here, we change because it's the society here. So if you compare a typical lady from Liberia right now that having traveled out of the US, travel out of Liberia to come to the US, and you compare her to me, they would say like, I'm kind of aggressive, I'm kind of like independent mindset, I'm this, I'm that, because it's the culture here. You get into it. So the typical African woman on the continent is different from the one in the US. So that's just what I want to say. It has to do with the society.
Wow.
I totally agree with her. Shout out to my Liberian sister right there. You know, yeah, I agree. That's just how we were raised. We're raised to be providers. And like, look, everything's not absolute. So I'm not saying that everybody is the same. Africa is a continent that is huge. I mean, it's twice the size of the United States. Okay, that's what people don't understand. So it's slightly different in certain cultures and different tribes. I'm looking at some of the comments, and people are saying I sound very westernized and what European and whatnot. I grew up traveling around the world. I'm Nigerian still to the core. All right, so there's nothing like a typical Nigerian. I mean, so to that statement, and also to the statement about, I did see a comment. Sorry, I have to respond to some of these comments, but I did see a comment about getting insulted for a check. I'm talking about blatant racism. I'm talking about a man using the N-word on me. I don't take that nonsense. I don't take nonsense where it's blatant racism. But if it's one of those jerk moves, a jerk racism, yes, I mean that's part of life. Human beings are jerks, whether white or black, right? There are people who are going to be nasty, and learn that. Not necessarily because he has a white skin, automatically it's only racism. No, it could be just that he's a horrible person, period. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is you have to sometimes decipher this too, and make sure that you are looking at your end goal. Make your check, 5 years, retire, make your money, your pension, strategize, right? Don't just blatantly say, you know what, I'm gonna be real with this person and disrespect him right at the office, and you lose your job, or things like that. Think beyond before you take an action, right? Don't be emotional is what I always like to say. Don't be emotional, right? Think logically before you make a move. And so it's not that I'm allowing people to disrespect me for a check, because that's what somebody commented over there. No, I don't let people disrespect me for a check. What I'm saying is, if I'm in a place where I don't feel completely welcome, I have to think about what is my end goal. When I'm ready to get out of there, I know how to get out of there with a bang. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, I want to leave.
You say you want to leave, Fanta?
Yeah, I just wanted to contribute. That's all.
Oh, thank you, Fanta. Okay, have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, my phone's about to die. I didn't know I was going live, so I sign off now too. I'm at 8%.
Okay, bye,
Thanks
Matthew.
for letting me on. I had no idea I was going to go on live and be a part of the video chat. It was
Yes.
unexpected.
Yes, you are a part of the video chat.
Okay, thanks. I'll continue.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue watching on YouTube.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, we've got that. Let me see. I think
I have like another maybe 10 to 15 minutes, so I can.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, did you have any last thoughts that you wanted to share before we go ahead and wrap up?
No. I mean, like I said, really, I would like to see more collaboration. I love your channel. I like to see that folks are trying to go to Gambia to help develop. I always tell people this. You know, African Americans have been in this country for over 200 years, and even as you know, as nasty as the history might have been, you guys have learned so many things. You've actually learned so many things about developing a nation, what is required. You know, you've learned so many things in technology. You've learned so many things in writing and arts, and you have your own culture too, right? And
Mhm.
I believe you can bring that to Africa. I actually believe you can bring that to Africa to add to the richness of the continent. Um,
Agreed.
if you think about it, when the United States was founded, a lot of the founders of this country sent their children to Europe to learn, right? They sent their children to the European universities because America did not have universities, right? So it's the same thing. They've always contributed. They've always worked hand in hand. White Europeans and Americans have always, and white Americans have worked together to empower themselves. The wealth, the knowledge they shared among themselves. So I also believe the same thing needs to happen with African Americans. Man, I meet so many smart brothers and sisters. I'm like, man, I just want to carry you to Africa and just like, just like, I'm gonna steal you. I'm gonna steal you again. Just, you know,
I'm
because
gonna take you back.
yes, because you're so rich with so much that you can contribute to the continent. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And it's just a waste. You know, it's just a waste because some of them never get to do that, or never. You know, they just kind of like their knowledge and skill set just go to waste in this country. And I'm like, man, you can bring it to the continent and make that Wakanda that everybody's talking about, right? You can
Yeah.
build that Wakanda over there. And so when I see those individuals moving to Gambia, I'm happy because Gambia needs it. Gambia
Yeah.
actually needs those folks. Now we don't need the ones that go there and disrespect people. I'm saying, you know, hey, you know, if you get there to the continent and you see something that looks very backwardy or primitive, just keep it to yourself. You know, yeah, you know,
Mm.
it's their culture, and they're still developing, and it's part of their culture too. Sometimes cultures are just different. You know, just learn that. You know, even
Mm.
as much as we're black, you know, Black Americans and Africans, we're different in culture wise, right? We grew up in
Mm.
two different parts of the world. So that's probably where I want to end this my part of the segment. But you know, I love to do things like this because I've always want to educate more African Americans about the continent and how they can help.
Oh, I absolutely am so happy to hear that. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Definitely want to
Absolutely.
see you in the comment section. Have a
Absolutely.
good night.
All right. Good night now. Take care.
Bye. Everyone say bye to Victor. He turned it up. Say goodnight to Victor because he came in and shared the Yoruba perspective in the house. Wow. Well, that was a powerful show. We are at 2 hours. So I am going to get ready to sign off here. But I just wanted to take the last few minutes to say a few words that I want to share with all of you. So, number one, thank you for sharing this interview space with me. But understand something. I am a proud Black American woman, and I will never do anything that is disrespectful to my people. So, for some of the folks in the chat who were asking, is this a bash Black America session? Is this a bash thing about Black people? Understand that that is something you will never see on my channel because I am Black American and there is no reason for me to want to bash my own culture. However, that said, many people will come to share different thoughts and perspectives, and we have to be open to that. That doesn't mean we have to agree, but we have to be at least open to hearing what other people have to say. This is educational content. And so I just strongly encourage you, before going off and before being upset and before being insulted, listen to the content, understand what's being said, and take what you can and leave the rest. But please know, I will never allow for the disrespect of Black American people on my channel. That should be clear from my content. So I just wanted to clear that up. I had such a great time. So please say goodnight to me. There's 82 people in the chat. I'm going to take a minute to say goodnight to you all. And I am so, so glad that we got to spend some time together. Woo, we've had a few interviews over the last week. Yes, Audrey, drop some of those fire emojis if you enjoyed the stream and if you enjoyed the content. Drop those fire emojis, hit the like button on your way out. Say goodnight to me. Someone says, are you a Black American from chattel slavery? Yes, I am. And actually, my family bought our freedom. So I will be sharing that story sometime on this channel. But I come from a very strong family, and I am absolutely proud of my roots and who I am. So never, ever question that about me. Okay? Okay, good night, good night, good night, good night. All right, see you on the next one. Bye.